a nature nut, I'm not afraid to admit. I'm wild about the wild things and I'm proud of it. I'm just a simple case, open and shut. No doubt about it, I'm a nature nut. Today we'll go bird watching, tomorrow we'll catch toads. The next day we'll take photographs of bugs along the road. I never get the feeling that I'm in a rut. That's why I'm a nature nut. Well, I'm a nature nut, I'm not afraid to admit. I'm wild about the wild things and I'm proud of it. I'm just a simple case, open and shut. No doubt about it, I'm a nature nut.
Hello there, nature nuts. Well, it's a beautiful spring day in the forest, and to the untrained eye, well, it's a forest. It's got trees, it's got shrubs, it's got little flitty birds in it, but to the trained eye of the nature nut, it's a great place to look for my favorite group of critters, or one of my favorite groups of critters. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, well, what I'm talking about here is owls. And everyone loves owls, but very few people see owls, even though there are owls in just about every sort of habitat you can name. The problem is you don't know where to look. This is good habitat, and I'll bet you there's going to be an owl in behind that little patch of birch leaves there. Let me just move this birch tree out of the way for you. I'll show you what I mean. There we go. Yeah, little northern saw-whet owl. Looks like a female, beautiful small owl. And they're called saw-whet because they make a sound like the sound of a saw being sharpened with a whetstone. Wasn't that easy? We're off to a good start. Northern saw-whet owls nest in old woodpecker holes in deciduous trees, and they are usually very tame. Well, one of the reasons that I chose owls as our focus is because this is an especially good year for owls, and one of the reasons it's an especially good year for owls is that it is an especially good year for voles. You know, voles, they're little short-tailed mice. Now, you rarely see a vole when you're out in the woods. You just see a little, well, you see them, but you just see a little brown flash in the grass. They're not really watchable wildlife, but I have a vole here so we can have a close-up look. They look a lot like little cute teddy bear hamsters from the pet store, but beneath their grizzly fur, there beats the heart of a miniature wolverine. Some of them are quite vicious, so you don't want to handle them like they were pets. Used to have a vole in here. There he is. There he is. There we go. That's a meadow vole, Microtus pennsylvanicus. And, I mean, as you can see, it's a pretty typical little mousy-looking rodent. But to an owl, it's a perfect-sized, perfectly shaped, easily swallowable pellet of food. So there you go. That's why we've got so many owls this year. Cute though they may be, there are millions and millions and millions of them all over the place here. As the famous raptor biologist Ian Newton once said, or something like this, he said that almost every aspect of the population biology of wild birds of prey can be explained in terms of food. It's actually a principle that explains a lot of my own behavior as well. Anyway, that's voles for you. Beautiful little things, very important to owls. One day while walking in the wood, a clump of feathers I did find. Perplexed, I knelt beside the pile until I could make up my mind. A puff of breath. And here, behold, a mysterious magazine. Just the thing I figured, to review the owl scene. Armed with knowledge keen of eye, a sleeping screech owl I did spy, an eastern screech no less, oh my, that makes me a lucky guy. Then peering up I felt a chill. A northern hawk owl with a frosty bill. On a summer's eve, that's quite a thrill. That book let me see through time and space. There's a great horned owl with a fearsome face on an old dead tree in a far-off place. Then off through the bush before it's gone, that's a short-eared owl at dusk, or was it dawn? I was overwhelmed, but I didn't yawn. For the ferruginous pygmy was over my head, a tropical owl, the books all said. Oh, how confusing, I heard myself say. And then I turned to see a great gray and a mouse that would never wake up the next day. For the owl took it away. Well, I knew if I looked, I'd see more than that. Like a big snowy owl, looking frosty and fat, in a tree like a great white cat. I've since lost that book, but I still see some owls. I think barred are my favorite when I'm out on the prowl. The call of the barred owl sounds like, "Who cooks for you?" Well, now let me introduce you to two of my owling buddies, Hootie the stunt owl and Gordon Court, the bird of prey biologist and owl specialist and all-around handy guy to know. Now, the reason I've invited them here is to start to dispel some of the myths and misunderstandings that surround the owls. People just simply don't understand owls as well as they think they do. One of the things that they don't really understand is that not all owls are strictly nocturnal. In other words, they don't only come out at night. We've just seen some species of owls that are active primarily in the daytime. It's a good thing for them and for us. Hootie, on the other hand, Hootie is a barred owl. Barred owls are more or less strictly nocturnal. The reason Hootie is awake right now is because we woke Hootie up. Well, here's another owl myth for you. It's a more subtle, more academic myth. It's the myth that an owl's face works like a parabolic microphone to focus sound. Now, I don't know, I think Gordon and I are in agreement on this. Our opinion is we doubt it. For one thing, the face of an owl isn't even shaped like a parabola. The bottom of a parabola is shaped kind of like a wok, and you can see very clearly that this is just not the case on the owl.
Hootie's ears are actually just behind this ear flap. Oh, sorry, Hootie.
He's gonna eat your fingers, Gord.
But he's if it was to function as this microphone does, there would have to be a sound recording or sound detection device out in front of his face, and well, obviously he doesn't have one. The operculum, or the big ear flap in front, that's basically where all those disky feathers are. They're more sound absorptive than sound reflective. They don't bounce sound; they collect it.
And I imagine that would be helpful if you're flying through the dim light of the evening trying to catch voles or something on the ground, wouldn't it?
Sure, yeah. And they'd pick up sound. One of the neat things they have, or one of the neat adaptations that owls have, is that the owl ears on the skull are in different positions. And you can see here on this boreal owl skull, there's quite a difference in the placement of their ears. Of course, if your ear openings are on different parts of your skull, sound's going to arrive at those openings at different times, and that's how owls locate their prey. And they can do this both on the vertical and horizontal plane. Very effective in finding prey, sometimes in complete darkness.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, in order to do that ourselves, we'd have to walk around with our head like this, I guess.
Yeah, pretty well.
You know, when they say rustle up some grub, with owls, it's the grub that does the rustling. Me, I prefer grub that doesn't rustle. Just a personal thing. Owls are most closely related to the birds called goat suckers, not the hawks and eagles. So, still got all your fingers, Gord?
Just barely. He's a little peckish today.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a neat owl, though. I think he did really well. Probably should get him back to the Raptor Rehabilitation Center where he lives, though. Give him a chance to regrow those tail feathers.
Sure, we want to get him on the wing as soon as possible here. So I got a little treat for him.
Excellent.
Right.
Okay, we've got a great opportunity here. At the top of this tower is a blind, and right next to the blind is the nest of a great gray owl. My friend Ray Cromie and his buddies put this blind up. A lot of work, we really appreciate that. Apparently sometimes these owls, they'll attack you when you're about halfway up the tower. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen today. But I'm also hoping we'll get some great looks at this bird. This is the most spectacular owl in the world, in my opinion. It's certainly my favorite. Ooh, she's giving me the look. Look at that bird. Yow. Beautiful.
Oh, you hear those low hoots? Oh, and look at her spread her tail, too. I'll bet that means there's some nervousness here. I'll bet it means there are youngsters up at the top of the tree, and the adults are looking after them. Okay, well, let's have a look here. There are 3 chicks in the nest, about half grown, and you can see just how goofy looking they are before they get their adult owl feathers. For the most part, they just sit around. This one's doing a bit of gular flutter. It's panting with its throat to stay cool. Having a little yawn. The mother birds, for the most part, would sit to one side, give the birds, the baby birds, room to exercise their wings, move around in the nest. And eventually she went out hunting and came back with a vole. Now there are so many voles this year, the babies weren't even hungry, and so after offering it, the mother ate the vole herself. As I was saying, it's been a really good year for owls, and voles, except that one.
There are owls who are sounding like the wedding of a song, and I saw that some are spotted, others barred. There are owls who are snowy, and others who are horned. No two with the same feathers should be tied.
Some of us are long-eared, some of us are short-eared, some of us are great and some are great. Some of us are boreal, others are fossorial.
That's the burrowing owl.
And some of us are flammulated. Hey!
I'm a flammulated owl in a flammulated world. My heart is flammulating for my flammulacious girl. I flammulate from dusk till dawn and then I hide from sight, until I start to flammulate into the dark of night.
Until he starts to flammulate into the dark of night. Until he starts to flammulate into the dark of night.
Who comes for you? Who comes for you? Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you?
I'm a ferruginous pygmy owl in a ferruginous pygmy world. My heart is ferruginating for my ferruginous pygmy girl. I ferruginate from dusk till dawn and then I hide from sight, until I start to ferruge again into the dark of night. Till I start to ferruge again into the dark of night. Until I start to ferruge again into the dark of night.
Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you? You, who cooks for you? Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you? a spanded owl in an ochre-bellied world. My heart is ostrated for my crested scopsy girl. I vermiculate from dusk till dawn, and then I hide from sight until I start to tangle into the dark of night.
Until you start to tangle man into the dark of night.
Until you start to tangle man into the dark of night.
Until you start to tangle man into the dark of night. Until you start to tangle man into the dark of night.
Now, even though some owls are active in the daytime, the truth is most of them are truly creatures of the night. And at night, sound becomes very important, especially if you're a predator. Owl feathers, the wing feathers of owls especially, are specially adapted for the sneak attack in the dark. Let me show you how that works. Here's a feather of a goose, about the same size as a big owl. Listen to this. Noisy feather. That's why you can hear geese fly over, or a goose fly over. If they fly over low enough, they got noisy feathers. Here's an owl feather. Almost silent. Owl feathers are slightly fuzzy, and their fuzziness breaks up the little eddy currents of air that rush around a normal feather and make all the noise. One of the biggest owls ever was a 3-foot-tall flightless barn owl that lived in Cuba about 1 million years ago. Of course, the best time to find owls is at night, and the best way to find them is to listen for their calls. They're noisy like other birds. They also have distinctive silhouettes, you know, the big round heads or the ones with the little tufts of feathers. It helps them recognize each other against the night sky. Now, there's supposed to be a barred owl around here somewhere. It's not a very good barred owl impersonation, but they don't really care. Oh, there it is. You hear it out there? Coming in to check me out. Yeah, it's really fun to call for owls. You shouldn't do it too much, though, especially in places where a lot of people are looking for owls, because you don't want the owls to be, ooh, man, did you hear that? Ooh, it's a scary sound of the wilderness. You don't want the owls to be spending more time investigating people than they are going about their lives as owls. Ooh, that's one irritated owl. He's pretty sure that there's an intruder in his territory, and he doesn't know that the intruder is actually me. Sorry, buddy. Who cooks for you? Hey, you remember that bull we fed to Hootie? Well, it's back. This is technically called an owl pellet, and Hootie regurgitated that pellet not long ago. Cool, eh?
Sure. Just anything he didn't digest is coming back up the front way. I got mostly fur here and little bits of bone and the skull as well. You can see right off the top.
So are we gonna get into this pellet?
Sure. Let's dig into her. There might be some surprises in here. You never know what Hootie's been eating.
So you figure that's a meadow wool?
Yep.
Okay, deal.
Let's see what we can find in here.
Lots of hair.
Yeah, there's lots.
That's nice.
The small bones in there.
What's that? A little bit
That's
of
a
hip
pelvis.
bone, pelvis?
Yeah.
Geez, that's neat. Delicate.
Well, that's the actual skull, but it's
Pretty mushed.
pretty mushed up.
Oh, that's nice. Eh?
Yep.
The front of the top of the skull.
There's some real full teeth coming up there.
Oh, that's the lower jaw. Ooh, that's beautiful. Yeah, you got the whole row there. So I guess they used to do this in schools a lot, eh? Give them to school kids, have them pick them apart?
Yeah, it's no longer fashionable because people are worried about the chance of picking up hantavirus, which is a disease transmitted by deer mice. But I think the risk is fairly low, and if you really don't want to do it with any risk, you can just dissect these under a bleach solution, pop it in some bleachy water.
My Hootie sure.
He's been sneaking the odd snack, that guy.
Yeah. Getting into the bowl cooler. Well, not bad. So we've got 3 bowls. There's one, that's probably the 2 sides of the one, and then 2 left of the other 2.
Yep.
Dandy! Real nice. Unlike hawks and falcons, owls do not have a crop, a storage area in the digestive system between the mouth and the stomach. Now, Have you ever noticed when you see a bunch of baby owls, they're all different sizes even though they're all from the same nest? That's because they lay their eggs one at a time and they hatch out, over quite a long period of time. Now these are boreal owl babies, and the eggs that they hatched from were laid about every 2 days. So this little tiny chick here, he's about half the size of his big fat nestmate right here. This allows the owls to raise just the right size family for the amount of food that the parents have available. If there's a lot of food, they can raise as many chicks as they can manage. If there's not so much food, well, then the littlest chick becomes food for the biggest chick. It's kind of unfortunate, but that's just the way it is in the world of owls. It seems cruel, but at least somebody survives that way instead of everybody starving together. Oh, don't fall over there. You can see this big one's about twice the size of his little nestmate, and he's kind of floppy, but that's because they're not very good with their feet at this stage. If they were, they might puncture their nestmates, so at least there are some things built into the owl system that make it a little bit easier for them. Terribly cute. Almost nothing quite as cute as a baby owl, don't you think? Well, that brings us just about to the end of our owl expedition here. Everyone likes owls, but bird watchers especially like them. And this species here, the boreal owl, what was the story you were telling me, Gord?
I believe they're number 2 on the all-time want-to-see list for the American birds.
The want-to-see list. So bird watchers want to see this bird almost as much as they want to see the ivory gull. Excellent. So if you were a bird watcher here, this would be a big moment. I guess we should let her go now, eh?
Sure. We'll see if she'll sit here for us.
The official rules of bird watching, it's 3:34 right now. You have to follow that bird for 24 hours before you could count it on your official checklist. So, anyway, there we go. Thanks for helping, Gord.
Okay, no worries.
We're Nature Nuts, we're Owl Nuts, and we hope you are too. See you again soon.
Same time each and every week, uncensored and uncut. No doubt about it, I'm a nature nut.